I'm covering this because you have actually asked me about fluid condensers, which I've mentioned here and there in things you're reading, but I think not enough to ever make a lot of sense from what you're telling me. Because some of you are thinking that fluid condenser is like fluid that you create or put in a bottle or use to bless your mirror with. But you're realizing as you read, no, it's not that, but you aren't quite sure what it is. The mirror itself is the fluid condenser. When you see the phrase fluid condenser in relationship to the witch's mirror, fluid is a reference to the movement and energy of life. However you conceive of whatever moves, that is the vitality of existence, is the fluid. Condenser is whatever we use to bring that to a focused place. A mirror is one of the things which is a fluid condenser, taking in the flow, the vitality, the very essence of life, and bringing it in to a place of focus. The mirror itself is the fluid condenser. It is the condenser of the fluid. Now, if you're the kind that likes to have a lot more information, just that little bit, because you want something much more sophisticated than that very simple explanation of what the fluid condenser is, you can certainly Google it. You'll find good information out there about it. I think you'll probably find, if you're the kind that likes all kinds of information, you will probably find a good bit of information that will help you if you look into Franz Barden and hermetics and what fluid condenser meant in that sense. I don't mean that it is seen identically by me or by anyone who practices. We all have our own sense of what it is that we are condensing in our witches' mirrors. But if you read more about it, you'll decide what it is to you. Your witch's mirror is also a condenser of your own fluid, the essence of you, your power, your personal power, whatever it is in the energy that is you, that is nothing else. You can use your mirror as a condenser of your own fluid. Imagine taking the essence which is you, and there is nothing like it in the universe. It is the only essence that is you, and using your mirror to bring that to its most powerful, compacted, focused place. So your mirror is not just a condenser of the fluid of the cosmos or the universe. It can also be used as a condenser of your own life force, your own energy, in a way your own true will and focus. Now here's where it can get a little confusing, because you can find recipes called fluid condensers. I would pose that these recipes are ways to dress your fluid condenser, the condenser being the mirror. Certain combinations of herbs, oils, are known in the traditional sense to enhance the ability of the mirror to condense, to be that fluid condenser. Now with anything that has to do with correspondences, so here we're talking about the correspondence. I'm shifting because Ernie wants some attention, so I'm scratching his belly while I'm talking to you. Recipes called fluid condensers. There are specific ones that you can use. Some of them are very exotic and very involved. And traditionally, they are meant to enhance the ability of the mirror to condense, to bring in, to hold, to focus, and therefore to be used as a magnifier. I do find it makes a difference what we use. I shouldn't say what we use. I should say it makes a difference what I use. I was taught of a very simple mixture to use, to bless, to empower, to magnify the witch's mirror, based on the use of nothing more than chamomile. It's simple. I bring a handful of chamomile to boil, and I let it boil for a while. You really want all the essence of the chamomile to move out and into the water, so you need to boil it for more than 15 minutes, but less than 30. You don't want to start evaporating the power of the chamomile. Let it cool, and then strain it. It's best not to strain it while it's hot. You truly do want it to be totally cool when you strain it. Then whatever you have in the way of liquid, match that equal with vodka. So 1 for 1 with whatever you have left with the chamomile and vodka, so that you have your elixir to use with your fluid condenser. I'm not going to leave you not telling you why. I'll get to that in just a minute. But there was a recipe, which I think it's pretty traditional, because when I was Googling to see if my concept of the witch's mirror matched what people might be finding online, I did see some of the things that it was to me, and a lot of things that it wasn't. And a lot of what it was to me wasn't mentioned. Interestingly, there was a recipe that was the same or about the same, as much as I can remember, of the one that was used in my first circle. And I very specifically remember using that because when I first came to that circle and was the maiden, it was my job to take care of the mirror. And that included making the elixir which was to be used to enhance its properties. And I made a note here, leave a paper in front of me, I'm going to read from it, of the things if you're the kind of person who likes a more involved mixture, and I do use this mixture sometimes still, if you want the aroma, if you want that headiness to envelop you and your mirror, this is a particularly good mixture to use to bless your mirror. And that's a mixture of lavender, basil, chamomile again, as you see that's important, sage, and again you're mixing it with vodka. I have had this question, so let me mention that here. If you are not in a situation where you can use vodka, you can most definitely use vinegar. The best vinegar to use is apple cider vinegar, and organic is the very best to use. The difference is, if you use the vodka in your mix, you can shelve it and it's good for about a year. If you use the vinegar, you keep it in the refrigerator and probably shouldn't use it past about 6 months. The reason I gave you the instructions on making this is when you have drawn down the moon into your mirror for the first time, you then want to declare a bond with your mirror. And when I say you'll want to or you should, I'm just telling you what works for me. You will decide in relationship to your mirror what works for you. But traditionally, after the drawing down of the moon into the mirror, you do want to seal it with the elixir that is meant to enhance its abilities as a condenser. And there's all different kinds of way to do that, and some of them are very involved and ritualistic, and there's all kinds of tracings of the pentagrams and all kinds of things. So it's whatever floats your boat. For me, it is simply a matter of wringing the edge of the mirror with the fluid and then using some form of personal symbol. It could be a sigil you use for yourself, it could be a rune, it could be a pentacle. Whatever it is that is, you're stamping upon the mirror something personal of you. The only thing that's really important about this concept of bringing down the moon into your mirror and then what you do to put your personal stamp on it is that you do the same thing every time you renew your mirror's energy. Anytime you feel like capturing the moon again, anytime you feel like refreshing your mirror, this should be a repetitive ritual. So whatever you decide to do, you should do it each time. You know the meaning, the mirror knows the meaning, and the universe knows the meaning when you repeat a pattern. For me, regularly, I offer my mirror to the moon. I use, in my case, usually just the simple chamomile mixture, wring the edge of it, and mark on the back of it something that matters to me personally. And this is where you'll notice the difference if you don't use a flat paint. When you use a flat paint, whatever you mark, whether you are using your chamomile mixture, whether you are marking it with a very personal fluid of one kind or another, it eases into a flat paint. You don't want it just sliding off, you want it easing in, is my thoughts on that. Using your witch's mirror. You've made one, you've got one, now what? It's basically very similar to using your crystal ball, if you have that, or if you've done any hydromancy, if you've done any gazing into water, whether it's a bowl on your altar or you've been outside and you've captured sun or moon on water. It's basically that same energy. Very similar, I find, to working with a crystal ball. Personally, when I work with my mirror, I work with my water guardian. I want just enough of water, the power of water. Working with water is interesting. It's the calm and it's the torrent. It is quite a emotional, which as it should be, it's water, but in a way unpredictable. Water is not necessarily always the calming force. It's the force of destruction and recreation too. I like having my water guardian at my side when I work with my mirror, which you may or may not work with guardians. If you don't work specifically with guardians for the elements, you'll still want to be very present and aware of all the possibilities of what water might be. I like working with my water guardian present because that way I know I'm getting what I need of water at that time and no more than what I need. You will see varying suggestions when it comes to working with a mirror when it comes to candles. There's always going to be a candle involved. Or almost always, I should say. I certainly have worked with mine when I've had the urge without candles, but that's been very rare. Usually the darker the moon, it's hit me to work with it a different way. You will see which is mirror workings where you put a candle in front of it and look at the reflection of the candle in it. You will also see putting a candle, usually two candles, one on either side of it that do not reflect in it to do workings. Play with it all. Play with it all. Get to know your mirror and what it can do. Your mirror can reflect this world, so you see what's in front of it in a different way. It casts a different light on it. It can also be a portal into the other world. So putting a candle in it to see its reflection gives you one way of divining, and then putting candles at either side so you get even lighting, but not lighting the mirror itself, gives you a whole different experience. There's no right or wrong. I do both according to what I feel like doing. And sometimes if I try one and nothing much is happening, I'll try something different in that same sitting and have a different experience. Usually something will happen if I come at it from a different perspective.